Talking to kids about sex and sexual assault is really important. And one of the most important things is just being willing to have the conversation. Even though it's hard, it might be awkward, it's really important to talk to our kids about it. One of the best things we can do is let our kids know that when they come to us with something big, we don't overreact or we don't minimize what they're telling us. When I sit with teenagers, sometimes they're scared to tell their parents things because they think they'll overreact. So knowing that in your relationship with your kid, when they bring you information that's hard, think a lot about how you react. And that'll make these kinds of conversations a little bit easier. So when we're talking about sex and even the conversation about sexual assault, hopefully it's part of an ongoing conversation we've been having with our kids about their bodies, about consent, about respect and self-respect, about boundaries, and about relationships. So I think it's really important that our kids know what healthy relationships are. So you might think about what's being modeled to them at home in terms of your relationships with your partner, with your spouse, with your friends, and talking to them about what are the signs of a healthy relationship. Mutual respect and reciprocal kindness, honesty, being able to talk about hard things. So talking to them about what does a good relationship look like? And then making sure they also know, like, what are some red flags? What are some unhealthy relationship symptoms, like controlling behavior or someone who's trying to manipulate you? If someone's trying to isolate you from your friends or your family, or if someone is emotionally cruel, those are red flags. And so if kids have a good sense of what's a healthy relationship and what's not a healthy relationship, that's going to be really important. When we talk about sexual assault, one of the things we're talking about a lot is consent, the idea of consent. Planned Parenthood has a great acronym for consent called FRIES, like French fries, so F-R-I-E-S, and you can find it on their website. The F stands for consent that is freely given, it's not coerced. The R stands for consent that is revocable, you can change your mind 5 minutes later. The I stands for consent that is informed. So I know what I'm consenting to. I'm not impaired. I can make a clear decision about what I want. The E stands for enthusiastic, right? It's not, we can do better than just not sexual assault. We can say, yes, I want this. This feels good. The S stands for consent that is specific. I know what I'm consenting to. Just because I consent to kissing doesn't mean I consent to sex. And it's okay to be specific and to change your mind. So that can be a really good way of talking to kids about consent and some of the elements that are in there. I've liked to leave books around the house that are good, solid information about sex education, sexuality, consent, and there's some really good books out there, and call BYS if you'd like a list of those books. Now, if your kid comes to you, if you're lucky enough that your kid comes to you to talk to you about some situation like sexual assault, first of all, put away all your distractions. Realize, take a moment inside yourself to recognize this is the priority right now. So put away your phone, sit down, let your kid know that you're available. Listen. So we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Just hear what they have to say. Listen for the feelings and validate what their feelings are that you're hearing. So do a lot of listening, and then there's a moment where you need to discern, is there an emergency here? Is someone's physical or emotional safety at risk? And if it is, you're an adult, call on the resources that you have to get the right support. If it's not an emergency, the best thing you can do for your kid is just be with them. To not jump up and start trying to fix everything, but just sit with them, be with them, let them know how grateful you are that they came to you, that you're going to help them through this. And if you don't know all the answers at that moment, you can tell them. You can say, I don't know exactly what we're going to do, but I know we're going to figure it out together. And lastly, just letting your kids know that you want to hear from them, that it's so important that they come to you with information because they're kids. And so they don't know everything, and we don't expect them to, and that's what we're here for, so they don't feel alone. And that's what's really important about talking to kids about sexual assault.